I always kind of liked music, and I actually started out as a drummer, taking drum lessons. When I was 7 years old, my grandfather took me to a parade in Yonkers, and when the marching bands came by, they had the drum corps that were part of the marching band, and I liked them much better than any of the other guys, you know, like blowing clarinets and trumpets and stuff. I thought the drums were cool. So I started taking lessons, and I don't think I had any aspirations then of being a professional musician, but I just kept at it. And so I was sort of like a weird anomaly where like I was like a very young kid that could actually play drums. So it became a bit of a, like a novelty. And so I started playing professionally when I was 14 years old. I think it was like the summer of the 8th grade, I seem to remember, that I actually started doing gigs. And I was a drummer. I played like in a rock sort of pop band. And we emulated a lot of the R&B type music. Growing up in Yonkers, R&B was very, very big. And then, of course, you know, like the Beatles came, Motown, again, the R&B thing. And, you know, that sort of was my, that was my thing. So I guess I did have some, like, aspirations to be a professional player, I guess. But after being in the business at a young age, I got a good taste of how tough it is to make a living. And so I thought that the other thing that I liked was I really enjoy sports and stuff. So I thought, well, I'd like to be a thing that they used to call an exercise physiologist. When I was in college pursuing this phys ed career thing, I had a back injury, a spinal cord injury, doing gymnastics. And I basically was flat on my back for a while. And while I was flat on my back, I played guitar. You know, I mean, I must have had a guitar lying around or somebody let me use a guitar. And I played the guitar a lot because there was nothing else I could do. I didn't start playing guitar until I was about 20 years old. That's right around the time that I started playing. But it was sort of an intensive learning experience. And also, I had been a musician from a very young age and had been writing music from a young age and playing what they call a composer's piano, which is sort of a wrong-fingering, self-taught approach to playing piano, and you basically do it just for composition and arranging. And you know, I basically played guitar because there was nothing else that I could do at that time. And the thing about guitar was, to me, guitar wasn't easy. It was actually the hardest instrument I had ever tried to play. And so maybe that's what made me stick with it, that I still feel like I'm not even anywhere near to kind of like conquering this like tiny little, you know, it's so ridiculous. It's a little tiny little piece of wood, about that big. And I just can't seem to master it. So it's an endless challenge for me to try and express myself, you know, through this instrument. But at the same time, the instrument is probably responsible for my sanity because I wound up actually having to have surgery, spinal cord surgery, where they fused the lower part of my back. And I basically couldn't work for a year. So for an entire year, I lived with the guitar, and I think pretty much every waking moment I was probably playing. And when I kind of like re-emerged back into society, I was a guitar player, and it kind of like blew people's minds that they were like, we thought you were a drummer. Where did you get this guitar thing? I'm a musical mutt, and I just like so many different things. I can remember that one of my early guitar influences was James Taylor. Now, obviously, I can't sing like James Taylor. I don't know if you've ever seen him perform. He just has like just a freakishly amazing voice. But he did songs that like I could play. You know, and I was like, oh wow, check me out. Except for the voice, I'm James Taylor, you know? And so I was really into the whole sort of acoustic guitar thing, finger picking. You know, so I liked all that stuff. I was into the Beatles. You know, all that Blackbird stuff and everything. I was a big Beatles fan. I was influenced by them. The jazz thing for me came much later. I was much more an R&B, I wouldn't say blues guy. I like the blues, but I just never thought I had the pedigree, you know, to be like a great blues guy. I think the true blues players, it's a real dedication to a whole lifestyle. And I just knew that I just wasn't of that pedigree. And so I tended to go more towards the R&B, the pop thing. I got into jazz through more of like the soul jazz players. Guys like Pat Martino, George Benson, Wes Montgomery. And those guys I sort of could like relate to. And then I learned like Cannonball Adderley, right? Cannonball Adderley had a song, which is interesting enough, he didn't write it, but it was a song called Mercy, Mercy. And it was, you know, it kind of had like this funk. And I was like, oh, I can relate to that, you know? And it had like a melody. So it had sort of like stuff that like I could get my ear around. I understood that, you know? And so then I found out that Cannonball Adderley played with a guy called Miles Davis. And so I was like, well, I got to check out this Miles Davis guy. So I checked him out, you know, and then I got into his thing. You know, and then I found out, well, John Coltrane also played with Cannonball Adderley in Miles Davis's band. So I checked out John Coltrane, you know. So it was just sort of like an organic sort of, I don't know, kind of like a journey of discovery.